Good. Recording has started. Good evening, everyone. I hope you had a fantastic day. As usual, you're welcome to Tech with Gen Z, Tech with Ali. My name is Al Amin, Ali Al Amin Juma, and I will be taking you through our second class, our third class, our fourth class. All these classes, I'm gonna like bundle them into 1 hour thing so that we can move faster with this JavaScript thing. Then I'll be giving you takeaway homework so that you can do on your side. So I'm doing this so that you guys can actually understand the basics of programming so that once you actually understand JavaScript, you will not have problems with classes that we will be doing in our channel because we'll be doing a lot of classes like Docker, Kubernetes. Now they'll start making sense. Things like HTML and CSS, they'll be much easier once you're because you've already known how to actually program with JavaScript. Now, without further ado, let's not waste time. Let's go ahead and do this. Inside our JavaScript folder, last time, I think we did variable. And then I told you number 2, we will do conditionals. Okay. So we are here on conditionals today. Just to remind you on variables, what we did, we talked about how to create a variable, how to assign it with an equal sign, and you have to use let or const. And we said when you use let, you can reassign, you can recall that name again. But when you use const, you cannot actually reassign that value. Okay. So like let my name is equal to Faith, you can say my name is equal to Joanne. So, but when you say with a const, it will give you an error of type error cannot be. A constant cannot be assigned again. I think I've summarized it very well. You've known how to do strings, numbers, booleans, arrays, objects, and all this stuff. So you know them very well. And today we want to do something called conditional. So without wasting time, I'll go ahead and do this. Um, uh, Inside our folder where we have conditionals here, I will create a new file. I'll call it conditionals, conditions.js. Yes. So everybody knows what's a condition in life. Okay. If you don't know what's a condition, that then you must be lying to me because um, a condition is something that you're given so that you can actually follow. And if you don't actually follow that condition, then it means there'll be some repercussions by not following that conditions. I'll give you an example of a condition. For example, if you don't actually follow my advice of how to program, you will fail. 100% you will fail. If you follow um, my advice on how to actually write code and program, you will succeed because I have seen other people succeed. I have made many students succeed and they're in the industry. So, and I've seen those who actually never followed my advice failing. And this is the whole reason as to why I'm telling you that this is a condition. So your mom will be telling you if you come late at home, you will not eat supper. It's giving you an if statement. So meaning if you come late, if you come early, you will eat. And if you don't come early, you will not eat that day, you'll sleep hungry. So basically conditions, we use something called an if statement. An if statement is used for conditions. Good. So if you know that an if statement is used for conditions, there are 3 levels of if statement. So, okay, there are 3 levels of if statement. All right. What are these 3 levels of if statement? Number one is called an if statement itself, an if statement. Okay. And this is how it is written. If into brackets, and then you open the curly braces. Okay. So this is how you do it. If. Okay, this is how it looks like. This is an if statement basically. If you don't do this, something will happen. Okay, so this is an if statement. The reason why it's giving me a thing here because inside here it needs something called a condition. Okay, so this condition is what is actually passed inside these two opening curly braces here. So you say if you don't come early, you will not eat. Okay, so the code of you will not eat comes here. Okay, so this is the condition. If you don't come early, you will not eat. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so you have an if statement like that, and basically inside here you pass something called a condition. Okay, let's pass a condition here. So this is the first level of if statement. So you have the second level of if statement, which is an if else. Okay, number 2, you have something called an if else. An if else statement. An if else statement, basically, this is what happens. For example, if I tell you, if you read hard, okay, if you work hard in life, you will succeed. Else, you will fail. So this is a level that has two blocks, okay? So you have an if-else statement. And basically, this is how it looks like. So let me just put it like this. These are some notes here. If condition like that, then this looks like this, like if into brackets. If you follow this condition, and you say if you follow this condition inside here, okay, you will succeed, okay? Else, okay, put some code here. So basically, it's just the first level of if statement, but now it is being added with an else block. Else, open the curly braces. Okay, more code here. Okay, for example, if I tell you the condition is, let's say for example, the condition is if you work hard in life. Okay, I'll give an example of that. If you work hard in life. Okay, I'll put in a condition which is a string like that, and I'll put it as a string like that. So if you work hard in life, okay, let's put some code and say you will succeed. You will, okay, let's say you will succeed. Let me put it as a string so that you can understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, you will succeed, basically. But else, what can we say? You will fail. You will fail in life. Okay, so this is what is called an if else statement. Basically, you have an else block that opens up with these curly braces. Now we have the third one. Okay, we have the third one, which is called an this is the second one. Let me put it like that. And the third one, let me put some space, which is called an if else, if else, if else, else. Okay, so you have a lot of if else in betweens. Okay, if else, okay, if else, another if else, okay, if else, okay, and then another if else, okay, and then okay, else. So basically, this is what happens. For example, you have many conditions. If the marks are less than 90, okay, are greater than 90, the grade is A. Okay, if the grade uh, if the marks are greater than 80, okay, but less than 90, okay, the grade is B. So you have a lot of if else, if else, if else, if else, okay. Are you getting the point? Sorry, let me put it like this: if else, if, okay. So it is if and then else, okay. So it's an if else if, then you finish it with an else, because that's the last one, okay. We will see an example of that. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead, and I've given you just examples of all these stuffs, how they look like. Okay. If I want to put them as one notes, this is what I'll do. I'll just come here. There's another way of actually putting comments. You can say backslash, and then you can say an asterisk. An asterisk is that when you do shift number 8, that's what is called an asterisk. Then the whole code will be until where you want to actually close it, put another shift 8, which is an asterisk, and then close it like that. So you have commented it like the whole thing like that. So to repeat it again, conditions, you use an if statement. And basically an if statement is like, it's you give a condition like, if this condition is followed, then put some code inside it. Else, sometimes you have an else block where you have to put some follow up back, something that will actually fall back to it. Like if you do this thing, then this happens. Else this actually happens. Sometimes you have an if else block where we have if this happens, else if, else if, else if, else. We'll see an example of that. Now, without further ado, let's go and do this. I'll come here and do this. Example 1, an if statement. Okay, let's say an example, for example, let's say for example you were born let's say like the Nigeria actually got its independence in 19, was it 1960 Was it before Kenya or I don't know? Because in Kenya it was 1963.
It's
Let's.
1960.
Oh, good. I should get a wife from there anyway. I know a lot about Nigeria, and you guys don't know anything about Kenya. Let year is equal to prompt. Okay, I'll say prompt into brackets, and I'll say prompt in which year, okay, did Nigeria, okay, gain independence. All right, I'll say such a type of code, and then inside here I will say if into brackets. There's a code, there's a certain I mean function that is called pass int. Pass int is used to change strings into numbers, because right now when we go and write this onto prompt, it will, when you add when you write something from the input, it always comes as an input. Now this, the year will be a string, but we need to change it to a what, we need to change it into a number. So we can either put the function called number like that, and then we can say into brackets year. All right, we can say if into brackets number, or you can use another function that is called pass int. But for now, just let me put number so that you can just understand. So the number will change this string of a year, of a number, to a number. Now year is equal to 1960. I will say if this year is equal to 1960, I will say alert. Are you seeing that? I will say alert, and I'll say into brackets you are right. Now let's go ahead and write this. This code can only be run, you can only run this code on something called what is it called? This prompt. I mean, you can only log it from the browser. So let's go ahead and log it from the browser so that you can actually see it on the console. Okay, because here on the editor, it doesn't have that functionality of running. Right click on the browser and then click inspect and then come to console. Okay, once you are on the console, do this. All right. These guys who are actually coming late are the ones who will actually hinder me, because I'll have like to flip through screens, and then you know sometimes it becomes harder to actually look for that tab. It's telling me you cannot actually paste into the dev tools. All right. Let me use this. Let me use this. I think I can paste onto this console here. Let me do this. Let me right click. Let me inspect, and let me come to console. This is the console here. Let me clear and let me paste. Are you seeing here? Here I can paste. I can do Control Plus so that you can see the code very well. Okay, let's click enter. You see now it's prompting me to enter. It is asking me in which year did Nigeria gain independence. I will say 1960, and then I'll click OK. Now it's, what is it saying? You are right. This is really funny. Now you can see, if you just see at this code what it is doing, I'm just getting the year from the user. If you want to get the year from I mean some data from the user, you'll use something called a prompt, and then I'm putting a condition. I'm saying if that year is equal to 1960, alert, you are right. Now sometimes, you know, as I told you before, sometimes you'll be needing something that is a fallback. You see, what if this person enters 1963? We should tell them you are wrong. And this is where now the if-else statement is actually falling back. Now let's say, for example, um, the user, okay, enters a wrong year. Okay, we need to also alert them, because now we on the first code we are not alerting them. We are only alerting the person who is right. Are we together? So now we need somebody. We need to also to alert that person who is actually now doing the wrong thing, and that's what we will do next. And next, that's what we want to do. We will take the same code over here. Okay, we will come here and say into brackets. I will say let Nigeria year. Let me put ng like that and say let ng year is equal to prompt in which year did Nigeria get independent. If number is equal to ng year, okay, is equal to ng year is equal to 1960, alert, you are right. I'll come here and say else. Are you seeing that else? And then I'll open the curly braces. I'll say else. Remember, an if statement has this, you have to put the parentheses. But this one, else block, does not have parentheses but has this curly braces. Else, I will say alert, you are wrong. Okay, I'll put here you are wrong, and I say you are wrong. Now let's go ahead and do this and run this code. I'll go here and I will open the console, I will clear it, and then I'll run this again. Look, I will enter. It is prompting me, in which year did Nigeria gain independence? I'll put some wrong here, like 1978, and I'll click OK. It is telling me you are wrong. Okay, now I will run this code again. Let me clear, let me run, let me run this. In which year did Nigeria gain independence? I'll say 1960. I will click OK. It is telling me you are right. Now this is now the conditions, okay? Now the condition is like it is checking between the if and else. It is falling back. Like if this is correct, you are right. If this is wrong, okay, you are wrong, okay? That's where the else goes to. So an else is always a block that is actually a fallback. If that condition fails, the else will be like a fallback for that code, okay? Now we want to check something else, which is called an if else, if else, if else, and then else. What happens with if else, if else, if else? Okay, this happens when, for example, you have very many conditions of else, if else, else, because this only runs on two blocks. If the year is 1960, do this. Okay, but sometimes, sometimes, for example, you could be saying who are the ministers of Kenya, for example. We know them that the minister of energy is this. I don't know. By the way, I don't know them. Maybe the minister of this is this. Then else, maybe the minister doesn't exist. We will see an example of that. For example, let's say you have and we are prompting your name, and you are saying if the username is, for example, Faith, and we say true, the name is Faith. Else, if the name is equal to another is equal to a username, we say, oh hell, this person has, for example, this thing. Else, it doesn't exist. Let's go and see that example of if else block. We'll come here and I'll say, okay, we are demonstrating, okay, multiple if else, multiple if else. Okay, let's do this. We'll say let username is equal to today I'm using this word Faith as if I know her. Okay, let username is equal to Faith. Okay, now I will say wait first, and then I will over here I will say const name